How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Beared Down Uncut, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Does the Bears' 2020 defense compare to that of the 2018 defense that went 12-4 and made the playoffs? Today we're going to be breaking down some of the 2018 defensive stats, comparing them to this year's team, and making our predictions for how this year's defense is going to perform. I am your host, Chris Malpe, and today I'm joined with my co-host, Parth Shaw, who I'm actually set to see tonight for the first time in about a year. Parth, dude, I'm excited. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm super excited to see you. We'll also be seeing our editor, Zach Rimbos, tonight, too, so it'll be a good night.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we're here, obviously recording this during the day so we can hang out later tonight. If you guys want an in-person video, comment it down below. We can try and make something happen. But obviously, we're here today to look at the 2018 record and statistics of the 2018 Bears. Obviously, it was Matt Nagy's first year of coaching. The Bears finished first in the NFC North Division, 12-4. So looking at some of their defensive stats, I just have a couple noted down here. They allowed 17.7 points per game. It was the best in the NFL with 283 points allowed during the season. And when other teams had third downs, the Bears basically shut them down about 60-70% of the time. The opponents had 34.2% success on third down, which was fourth best in the league. And overall, the league-ranked defense was fourth. Now, obviously, we've got some new faces on this defense. There's no more Leonard Floyd. There's no more Adrian Amos. Obviously the Bears have Tashaun Gipson, Robert Quinn now. A lot of familiar faces, though, from that team 2 years ago. So, Parth, I want to ask you, before we start talking about this 2020 defense, and we've talked about this a lot on the podcast in the past, and it's tough to dwell in the past, but one has to wonder, what do you think happens if we beat the Eagles in 2018 with that defense heading into LA to play the Rams?
I definitely see us beating the Rams like we did earlier in the season. Early in the season, that game was just trash offensively for both teams. Trubisky had 3 interceptions. Jared Goff also had 4 interceptions that game. So the weather wasn't great. We know that. But going into LA, nicer weather. Yeah, the quarterback play for both sides would be much better. Trubisky was coming off of his injury at the time, so it was a little shaky too. But I think the Bears would have pulled a win, especially in LA. But then we'd have to head to probably New Orleans to play the Saints, and that's where I don't think we'd win.
Yeah, no. Playing in the Superdome definitely would have been tough. But I agree that we probably would have gotten to that NFC Championship if we did beat the Eagles that year in that divisional round, or wildcard round, excuse me. It's unfortunate the way that things ended, but that defense was absolutely insane. We're going to look for some similar production out of the 2020 defense. So just briefly looking at some of the additions, obviously I mentioned Robert Quinn and Tashaun Gipson earlier. The Bears also bring back Danny Trevathan. He's looking to be healthy and being the signal caller of the defense. Yet again, such a great leader, and everything that he does is really unnoticed, I would say. Looking a little bit further down the defensive depth chart, the Bears have added guys like Marcavius Mingo, Travis Gibson, a rotational edge rusher out of Tulsa in the 5th round of the draft, and obviously Jaylen Johnson, someone who's probably slated to be cornerback 2 at some point during the 2020 season. They have also added Kendall Vildor, and I'm probably missing a few, but that being said, one thing, Parth, and I think you can agree with me here, that comes to mind when I think about the 2018 defense is depth. A lot of players went down, and the depth was still there, and there were players that we didn't expect to stepping up big time. Guys like Leonard Floyd in 2018 stepped up. Guys like Sherrick McManus. Guys like Adrian Amos. So there were some players that we didn't expect to step up that definitely played their roles. Obviously Roquan Smith now entering his 3rd year in the league, looking to have a good year. So I want to ask you, obviously I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but who is your favorite offseason addition on the defensive side of the ball?
It's obviously Robert Quinn. Leonard Floyd last year was trash, to put it in simple terms.
3 sacks.
3 sacks, yeah. If you're opposite of Khalil Mack and you cannot get more than 5 sacks, you're ashamed of football. No offense to him.
Yeah.
No offense to him. But
yeah.
You got Khalil Mack taking out triple teams, and you can't beat a single one-on-one coverage. So we got Robert Quinn in, who had 11 and a half sacks last year. I think, bringing him with Mack is definitely just going to be a great addition.
We also have to notice that Akeem Hicks is going to be back and healthy after, I think, dislocating his elbow there in 2019. Yeah, I mean, you look at Robert Quinn, 11 and a half sacks across from DeMarcus Lawrence in 2019 in Dallas. Also, you look back on his career, he's made the Pro Bowl a couple times, but obviously his notable year where he came out and was incredible was 2013 when he had 19 sacks, almost an NFL record at the time, and he was named the Pro Football Writers of America Defensive Player of the Year. I believe he came second in the NFL's voting that year, but still, Robert Quinn, a very solidified pass rusher. He's going to get down in a three-point stance. He's going to break down an offensive lineman, and that is a huge addition. As far as my favorite addition on defense this offseason, it's got to be Tashaun Gipson, just to switch it up from Parth a little bit. We all saw HaHa Clinton-Dix playing the free safety position in 2019. He was okay, he was average, but we all know as Bears fans that 2018 Eddie Jackson needs to come back, and he is going to return in 2020. He's not going to be entirely at free safety, but bringing in someone like a Tashaun Gipson who had 51 tackles and 3 interceptions for the Houston Texans last year at strong safety definitely allows the Bears to move Eddie Jackson back to free safety primarily. He can now be the deep safety. He can do his thing. He's a ball hawk, and we absolutely know that. So I'm going to say that my favorite offseason addition on defense when it comes to the draft and free agency is Tashaun Gipson coming in on a veteran minimum deal. I don't know how he wasn't signed before, but I'm glad to have him here in Chicago. So obviously, we're here today to compare the 2018 and the 2020 defense. So, Parth, I want to ask you, obviously we saw the 2018 defense when the offense was a little bit shaky, perform well, and basically carry a subpar offense. So I want to ask you, if the offense isn't great here in 2020, do you think this defense can carry a subpar offense to the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes, but I really hope our offense isn't subpar. We're entering Matt Nagy's third year, so hopefully the offense can pick up its game. But this defense can do enough to win. Last year itself, it won us 8 games. I think this year with even a better defense, a healthy Akeem Hicks, Eddie Jackson back at his free safety position, I think can definitely win more than 8 games.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned the cornerbacks yet. I mean, obviously you have Kyle Fuller, an all-pro there, as well as Jaylen Johnson. Obviously when you look back at the 2018 team, they did have Vic Fangio, and that team was absolutely rolling on the defensive side of the ball. But that being said, I do think that this defense can win a couple games here in 2020. We saw an 8-8 finish there in 2019. The defense was on the field for a majority of, I'm pretty sure, every game, and they still did their part in helping us to win 8 games. So I'm pretty confident that this defense can afford to have a subpar offense, even though that's not what we hope. So, Parth, I want to ask you, obviously, if you look at the takeaway numbers, I don't have them pulled up exactly right here, but they were incredible in 2019 or 2018, excuse me. You look at the team. Prince Amukamara was balling, Roquan Smith, Danny Trevathan, Adrian Amos. Just looking at the team stats, 27 interceptions. I've got them now. 5 defensive touchdowns, 98 passes defended, and 18 forced fumbles. You also have to note that Bryce Callahan was on that team, but a lot of similar names. Bilal Nichols, Eddie Goldman, Sherrick McManus, Kevin Tolliver's even still here. Iggy's still here. Guys who have seen defenses in Chicago be successful in the past. So I want to ask you, do you think after the 2020 season that we'll look back and be like, oh my goodness, this defense was really similar, really rock solid in comparison to the 2018 defense?
Yeah, definitely. You got depth at most positions. I think the inside linebacker position is the only position that I'm actually kind of worried about depth. But other than that, I think the personnel matches up real well.
Yeah, absolutely. You just look at the depth chart. A lot of similar names here in Chicago. Just looking at that 2018 season, Kyle Fuller was an all-pro first team and a Pro Bowler. Same with Eddie Jackson and Khalil Mack, and Akeem Hicks also made the Pro Bowl. I think Roquan Smith is someone who's looking to break out this year and obviously make the Pro Bowl as well. But I could easily see those 3 same guys being an all-pro first team members and also being named to the Pro Bowl. So it should be very interesting. Going into 2020, I think everyone knows that the Bears are a defensive team, and I'm really hoping that they can keep it up. And, the depth is there. That's all I got to say. So that's pretty much it for episode number 51, I believe, of Uncut. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but thank you guys for tuning in. If you want more content from us, you can head over to our website, bearddown.com. We're posting a ton of stuff on there. And I mentioned it in the last Uncut. We're really trying to upgrade, the professionalism, I guess you could say, of our website, continuing to write really nice pieces and stuff like that. So be sure to go check out our website. There's a ton of extra content on there, and there's way more people on this team that work so hard behind the scenes to get you guys some great content as well. If you are on Instagram and Twitter, you can find the podcast on both platforms at Beared Down. You can also find the links to Parth and I's Instagram fan pages down in the description. Parth Shaw, a lot to be excited about on this defense here in 2020, but I want you to close it off with this. What player are you most excited to see on the field here in 2020?
Oh, that's such a tough question to ask, but I'm going to have to say Eddie Jackson. He's my favorite player on the defense by far, and he's going back to that free safety position where he can be that natural ball hawk. So it'll be fun to see him, being that ball hawk safety that he can play.
100%. I'm going to go with Roquan Smith. 121 tackles in his rookie season and 101 last year, and he only played in 12 games. He's looking to really take another big step here in year 3. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe. We're going to keep pumping out content later this week, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. Bears fans, do us a favor, and as always, stay safe and bear down. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.